I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. 5, 4, 3. That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Welcome back to the Outta Here podcast, exclusively on the Bloodline Entertainment Network. Well, I have a special guest, my man, Frank Klose from 97.3 ESPN. Frank, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, Nick?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Happy Phillies fan. I mean, after the first two series, this is it's looking better.
Yeah, you know what? They couldn't be that bad all along.
No.
You know, it's not what you want to do going 0-4 to start a season, but you know what? They'll be fine.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, let's get some housekeeping done before we get on with the topics right here on the Bloodline Entertainment Network. After this, around 5:30, Circle of Debate will be up. And then after that, it is Roto Slappers at 9:30 EST. Frank, let's get to it. Let's talk about the first topic, and that is opening day.
It's not home. It's a high fly ball out toward deep left center field. The Phillies are going to have the lead.
Man, that looks great. JT is moving and grooving. So is Wheeler. Frank, let me get your thoughts, the takeaways of opening day.
For me, it was a mental thing because I think for the players, you know, you saw Bryce Harper and Rhys Hoskins remove the banner, unfurl the 2022 National League Championship banner. And for the players, it's probably been really tough. You know, they knew they'd be without Bryce, and they knew he's coming back. So I think there's some comfort for that. But when you lose Rhys Hoskins right at the last minute, it's just this mental jolt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, no, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And I think seeing what you're getting out of Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Castellanos had a couple hits, couple doubles, right? You know, I think you know, Bohm's been amazing. Stott's been hit. You know, I think the tone they set kind of yesterday kind of gives the team the kind of the sentiment like, you know what, we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big emotional hurdle. I know this is this is a game where we don't often hear about the psychological side, but losing somebody like Rhys Hoskins, who is really at the heart of that team in terms of the camaraderie of the team and the soul of the team.
Yep.
Yeah, the locker room guy, that was kind of a jolt, and it was very last minute. So I think that had something to do with the 0-4 start going through the first couple series, but being at home, realizing there are the fans, they're there behind you, and that, oh yeah, you know what, we do have enough offense here. I think that mattered a lot.
Yeah. And you brought up Rhys too, and it's hard to fill those shoes. And we need somebody. We need somebody like Nick Castellanos, who's stepping up. He looked great yesterday. What are your thoughts on that? Can he, I don't want to say fill the shoes, because that's just not that's not what I think when it comes to Nick. I mean, Rhys, like you said, heart of the team, locker room leader. He was there with Bryce, you know, pulling up the flag. It's a big deal. I mean, they even put his jersey, you know, in an empty locker room.
Like he's dead, but he's not.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, this is a little weird. But Nick stepping up, is that somebody that will help us until Bryce gets back? Or is it just he needs to do that because, hey, we're paying him the money?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, part of it is he's got to. I mean, they're paying him to be something, you know, but right now, batting fourth or maybe fifth in the lineup, depending on the day, he's going to need to be that right-handed bat. Now Hoskins, of course, in terms of what it gives you numbers-wise, I think they can make that up okay, you know, through a combination of factors. I think I'm not worried so much about that, but a chunk of that needs to be Castellanos being what he's paid for. And honestly, if you look at Castellanos' last season, you know, people tended to think of the lows. Now, 3 of the 6 months were actually pretty good months if you look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 that were pretty tough. And so I think he's better than what we saw last year. I think he's more of what we saw at the home opener. And actually, the first few games in Texas, he was pretty good too. He just had a little bit of an offer against the Yankees. But I think his production will be better than last year overall.
Yeah.
And I think he is, again, getting into the emotional side of the game again. I think he's the guy that needs to feel comfortable. And, I think having the fans behind him, championship out of the way, I think he's going to find his place. It's you see that a lot of times with players signing big money free agent contracts. They feel the pressure the first season out of the gate to earn all the money all at once.
Yeah.
Like they have to show that they belong. And he's a guy that did, let's be honest, his success came in places like Detroit, and Detroit's a pretty big market, but Detroit and Cincinnati, where he had his real rebirth, not that big a market, not a lot of pressure. So it's definitely a different dynamic for Castellanos he had to get used to. But I think he realizes, and if you saw yesterday, fans are behind him. So
Yes.
Just get comfortable and do your thing, and he'll be fine. And also too, the fact that there's, I think it helps that yesterday for opening day, you had the other parts of the lineup all show some offense too. So when you have that, he realizes he doesn't have to be everything to everyone. And so I think that also helps him settle down as well, because even he, as you kind of said, well, can he kind of carry the ball? Well, he probably thought that himself. Oh shoot, I got to go. I got to be more because Hoskins is out and I'm the right-handed guy. But, I really liked what I saw. He picked up a first baseman's mid and was taking some ground balls there just in case. And of course, now that they're down 2 first basemen, who knows if that just in case will end up becoming something. But I think he's thinking team-mindedly, and I want to see. Obviously, we can't live and die with game, right? So we had a good first series, tougher second series. Started off pretty well in this one, but I don't want to live and die with that. But let's give him some time and then see kind of where the body of work is going.
Yeah, you brought up a really interesting point with Nick. We are behind him, and I think after that little scuttlebutt, whatever you want to call it, in the locker room with that reporter, it is time to step up. And I think he, as of right now, he's stepping up. Now, transition to Bohm. I feel like that is the question now. I mean, what do you do with him if he's not stepping up? Do you send him to first, bring in Sosa to third? I mean, there's a lot of I don't want to say issues, but concerns with if he's ready to step up. What do you think about that?
Oh, he's ready. He already started the stepping up last year. Now, I think the question about first base, if you're down 2 first basemen, you might, and seeing that, I mean, my gosh, Edmundo Sosa, like the way that the ball he hit yesterday, like he had a lot of power in spring training. That was surprising too. I want to see more Edmundo Sosa. So if now's your opportunity, put Sosa at third, Bowman first for a while. Just say, you know what, Alec, you made a lot of strides at third base. Yeah, he had a blunder the other day, but he made a lot of strides at third base. But hey, our team needs you, and I don't see why he would say no. I would love to see them just even against lefties, righties. I don't care about that so much. Sosa third, Bowman first. I think we're going to see that a lot coming up, and so I really want to see what Sosa can do. I mean, they got him as a guy known for his defense to be defense, and he had a heck of a spring. And he's only 11 at bats in so far, but man, he's looked really, really good. And carrying over from what you saw in the spring, I want some more Edmundo Sosa right now. But Bohm, I think he's fine. He's been making contact, and when you make contact, the power will come around. We added a little muscle this year, so he's getting around a little quicker
confidence.
Pitches. I think that's going to go a long way. I think Bohm is. We're going to see him kind of slide up further in that lineup. I would love to see him third ahead of Real Muto, because I think having the bat behind him rather than, as we've seen in a couple lineups, kind of the weaker hitter behind him. Like today, he's batting fifth, which is good. Yeah. He's moving up, but Josh Harrison's the one behind him. I would actually like to see him above Real Muto, but just for now, until we get the likes of Bryce Harper back in the lineup, which changes the dynamic. But hey, I you know what, after his first year, I said, man, this guy is not going to have a sophomore slump because he's too good at making contact. Well, he kind of did have a sophomore slump, but I think that was that was more mental than physical. But once he got locked back in, I thought he was sweet last year. His swing, I love his swing, and I think he's just going
Yes.
to make contact. Power is going to come. I think a lot of Alec Boehm.
Yeah. Now, Frank, I got a question for you because you brought up Boehm. Maybe he's willing to go to first base. I know you're pretty close to the team. Can the player say no? Like, I do not. I know Schwarber joked around that I don't want to go to first, but do they?
You
have
don't
that
want him to
kinda,
go to first.
Yeah,
the times
no
he tried,
way.
it didn't go well.
Yeah. Do they have that kind of sway where they can say no, or is it like a Bryce Harper, a JT? No, but with Boehm, maybe if we need it,
Speaking of Castellanos, back when he was with Detroit, his second to last season, it was a year where Cabrera was injured, and I forget who else. Maybe Victor Martinez was DH only, and maybe I think that was his final year. And they kind of said to him, Castellanos, who had played the infield and third base, "Hey, can you play some first?" And he told them no. He said, "Not unless you sign me to an extension." Well, he's different now, but I don't get I don't get the sense that there's anybody thinking that way in this Phillies locker room. I think besides the fact that they've added a lot of talent from the outside, I think they focused on adding high character guys that are team oriented. So
Yeah.
I don't see somebody like Alec Boehm saying no. I'm sure if they told him, "Hey, listen, we badly need you in left field," he would do it too. But they don't. So I think the mindset on this team is of teamhood. I mean, look at Bryson Stott, right? They drafted him as a shortstop. I know at the time, even I said it a million times, even before he ever came up, that he probably projects as a second baseman long term. But that's a big change, right? You had to ask him to go to second, and the opportunity presented himself. Even though I thought he held his own at shortstop, but the big fish to get this year was Trey Turner, and the Phillies got him. So I mean, I think the mindset of Bryson Stott is the same as you'd see with Boehm. Is like, oh, we can add Turner there. Oh, of course. And I think now you can see Boehm say, "Oh man, Edwin Sosa's hitting the cover off the ball. Of course, I can go to first."
Yeah.
So I think they're the right character guys to do what they need to do to battle through these injuries and get them to where they need to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, too. It's just the injuries. Everything else is, the bullpen looks great. Alvarado yesterday, holy crap, man, he looked so freaking good. Wheeler looked good through, 5.5, but he had his issues at time. But he is, in my opinion, the ace, and that's what you need to do at home. A 4:00 game was really good to see. Now, let's get back to JT. So JT is, the everyday catcher. And the issue is, for me, where do you put him in the lineup? I mean, without Bryce there, without Hoskins there, it just looks a little naked. I don't know. Do you do the Pat Burrell thing? Do you do the Chase Utley thing? I don't know where you place him in the lineup so he can perform like he did yesterday.
I'd put him third or fourth.
Okay.
I would put him fourth if he had Boehm ahead of him, and I think Boehm might fight his way into that. But you know what? Here's what I would do, though. I would prioritize when the Phillies are facing a righty, maybe to be those days that you get him off from behind the plate and have him be DH, especially now. Before Bryce Harper comes back, I really want to see them limit the mileage that JT has on his knees, on his back, being the catcher. A couple years that the Phillies, first few years they had him, he was a little banged up by the end. And, this team's built for October. They played through into November last year. So I want to see him get some more rest early on, and especially when they have that DH spot available. And I would use those days to have him be the DH, and then Garrett Stubbs catch some for you. So I think you want to get him in that lineup as much as possible. What I don't want to see, now they got away with it last year, but the previous years it was like, oh shoot, well we need to win so badly to get the playoffs, so we're just going to keep riding him, and it ended up not working so hot, at times, because he got a little banged up. So I think I would play him every day as I could, but make him be the DH once or maybe twice a week now while you have the DH spot available. Because you mentioned Wheeler a minute ago, and kind of falling apart in the fifth. All these players had a different off-season routine than they were used to. It's a whole extra month that they played, and you absolutely need to shut it down after that. You can't just do that to your body. You need to give yourself the month off, 6 weeks off. Well, if you play till the first week in November, go a month, 6 weeks from there, and then all of a sudden it's like January, and then you're reporting 6 weeks after that. So, so the pitchers, I think, are definitely a little bit off, and I think the catcher, who of course is the best catcher in baseball, as everybody loves to say, you need to give him some rest too, in my estimation. So we already had the 1 day off because he was going to catch the day game the next day. I would give him some DH opportunities as much as possible. And he's my third or fourth hitter right now. They need his bat. They need him in the lineup, but they also need to not kill his knees.
Yeah. Frank, what I love about you is you do a weekly article on 97.3 ESPN. You ask the universe, the baseball fans, to give you some questions, and you answer the questions. You picked one of my questions, and one of the questions that we have here is it too early to start worrying about starting pitching? I loved your answer, but for the thousands and the millions of people that are watching, let's hear it. What did you say about this question?
I was worried in the offseason, to be honest. I think the Phillies were caught in a situation where the depth that they had were the likes of Christopher Sanchez, Andrew Painter, maybe Nick Nelson, if you were going to. I didn't think that it was really a solution. But, the price of adding starting pitching from outside an organization is so extreme. I mean, Taijuan Walker got a lot of money for his 4 years. Yeah. And he was there to replace Kyle Gibson. But then you still had one spot in your rotation, kind of what was of it previously the Eflin spot. How are you going to fill that, right? So they decided, okay, well, a lot of people really did. They sincerely believed that Andrew Painter could grab a spot in the rotation at 19. A lot of people did think that. And so they went into the spring with him, and then the idea that Bailey Falter could help as well. But then, of course, he goes down, Falter's in the rotation, then all of a sudden, oh, shoot, Ranger Suarez is out for a little bit. Yeah. They really didn't have any depth beyond that. I mean, and even if Christopher Sanchez was healthy, Nick Nelson was healthy, I'm not that enthusiastic of either of them jumping into the rotation. So I would have liked to have seen them add a veteran or two. See, the problem is the ones that used to get minor league deals and people would just take a gamble on, they're getting guaranteed major league deals because the pitching is just so scarce.
Yeah.
So I like their thought process. They're giving Matt Strahm a shot. I really want to see where this goes.
Me too.
I kind of predicted he would stick in the rotation after Ranger Suarez comes back because I really like this. I really like this kid. I don't know how old he is. He's probably like 12 years younger than me. But I really like what I see so far. I like his attitude. I like his mindset that he's there to do whatever they need to do. And reflected before about the times he got to start. It was kind of like he didn't know what was going to happen, but I want to see him kind of stretch out and see what he can do. That could be a real bonus. I mean, they signed him for reliever money for that arm, and they may end up with a bargain starter, So, but I think that it would have been really nice if the Phillies had some other depth options. So I think that remains a worry because let's say, I don't know. Let's pretend Zach Wheeler is Adam Eaton. Remember Adam Eaton?
Yes.
Who once went on the injured list. Yeah, he went on the injured list once because he was opening a pack of CDs with a knife and stabbed himself. So any freak little thing could happen. That's not a major injury. Then all of a sudden, shoot, who's gonna grab the ball and start?
Yeah.
I mean, this team can't afford bullpen games, right? When the other starters are still not all that stretched out because for the reasons I just said. So it's going to be tough. At least Taijuan Walker had a longer offseason than everybody else because he played for the Mets. But
there you go. Shazing.
Well, yeah. Well, hey.
Yep.
He's the only one, right, who didn't pitch into November. So I'm looking. I do think they're living on the edge right now. Suarez, before he comes back, he's probably going to have to do a rehab assignment. They're talking about being stretched out. He's probably going to start at Clearwater. And
Yeah.
they'll send him up to AAA, and I'll make a few starts there, try to get to 3, 4, 5, 6 innings before they can bring him up. Now, hopefully that means Suarez will be good for the long term and into the postseason. But I'm I'm a little worried about the starting pitching depth. And yeah, they probably can address that at the trade deadline. But right now, nobody's selling. People, I see this all the time. There's another article today on a local news website about who could the Phillies get for first base. Well, the answer is nobody. Nobody's trading, right? I mean, aside from a couple years ago, they got Jay Bruce, who the team didn't really, who I think was the Mariners, really didn't have a use for. He was kind of an extra on the roster. That was a nice pickup when they got Brad Miller out of the AAA a few years ago. That was a lucky pickup, but most people aren't trading right now. Why? Because they just started and they're trying to win. So I mean, you look at the teams that are supposed to be the quote unquote bad teams, like the Reds or the Rockies. I know people keep saying CJ Crone and Will Myers is someone who was facing the Phillies yesterday who could play for us. I'm not that excited about either of them, right? So but like, think of the pitchers that might be available now. Like, who's going to be available that's going to excite you? Right now, nobody. And nobody's selling yet. So maybe if you get to July and the Cincinnati Reds are 80 games out of first place, then maybe. But teams are just getting going. Teams have high hopes. So they're not they're not selling yet. So I remain worried that they're living on the edge. When they get Suarez back and he's healthy, I'd feel a lot better about their starting pitching, but there is some concern still.
Was Suarez, was he the one that cracked the Red Bull on his forearm? Was that him?
I don't remember that, to be honest.
I don't remember either, but I thought it was just so crazy. Nola, rumors are that, contract discussions have just dropped. I mean, is this ace that we had for what, 5-6 seasons? I mean, he started the opening day 6 times. I mean, is it really just he's gone? He's done after this? I mean, again, to the idea of him being the ace, okay, we understand that he's not technically the ace, in my opinion. I get it, but we're showing him the respect. Do you let someone like this go? I mean, Cole Hamels, similar at the end of his, his career with the Phillies. It's like, okay, we respect him. He got us a ring. He got the MVP, but it's time to, say goodbye. Is that something we're going to do with Nola? I mean, it's just, for me, I just can't comprehend. I'll shut up. Let's hear it, Frank.
Well, here's the thing. Carlos Rodon, he was the name everybody mentions in terms of a comparable pitcher in a deal. He just got 6 years. I try to remember the dollar amount, $162 million from the Yankees. I'm pretty sure that's it, right? If the Phillies gave him that exact deal, I think that's perfect, right? But I'm not part of these negotiations. What if his agent says, well, no, you need to give him 8 years. And then you start counting, and then you realize, well, if I'm going to be paying this guy $30 million at age 38, how many pitchers in baseball make it to 38?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the Mets are trying to have the oldest rotation ever assembled. But they've already having cracks in that rotation, right? They're down 2, Jose Quintana and Justin Verlander already. So I think that's risky. And so I don't know what the negotiations are. I mean, if the Carlos Rodon deal should be what gets it done, because that's the best comp available.
Yeah.
If he's not willing to do that deal, well,
what do you do?
You know what? I mean, let me put it this way too. If that happens, but here's the consolation, right? All right, but take a step back. So the only thing that it would take to keep Nola is money, right? You don't have to trade anything for the player. You don't have to give up any draft picks, right? It only costs money. So that's kind of been what the Phillies have been trying to do lately.
And that's really not an issue, right?
Yeah, minimize the stuff. So money is not probably the problem. So if you can get it done, you should get it done. But
really?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If they can't come up with a deal with Nola, if he does want to be paid till he's 39 or something, would you be that upset if they spent that money somewhere else? I mean, I know everybody's going to be trying to get him, but Shohei Ohtani. So if somehow like they able to pay him $50 million a year.
Yeah.
Or they come up with, I think my buddy and colleague Jeff Mosher
Yes.
came up with a great idea. Why don't you make a deal that pays him an obscene amount of money as long as he's doing both roles, where there's incentives based upon numbers of starts and numbers of at bats. So maybe you find a way to get Ohtani. I don't know. I mean, that there's going to be a lot of competition for Ohtani.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the Phillies would probably try if they don't have Nola, right? I mean, they're going to have to do something, and they seem like the type that are going to be aggressive. So I'm not that worried from that respect. They'll find somebody else, but the ideal thing would be to just pay him money, and you don't have to worry about anything else. No draft picks, no anything else. But yeah, you know what? I would absolutely try to do it. The Rodon deal should be the marker. If he wants a few more $1 million, fine.
Crazy. Have you looked at that contract? Like every year, what he gets?
Oh yeah,
it's insane. It's like 30, 40, 30. It's just, I don't know, man. I guess that's that's the Yankees for you.
Yeah. So I don't know if that deal isn't a good enough comp. Again, I don't know anything about this. He's got an agent that's not one of the big time agents that everybody knows.
That's a key.
So I'm not in the negotiations. So I'd have to imagine that the Phillies aren't trying to be cheap.
No.
But the demands could just be so much that they don't want to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So $27 million a year was the average annual value for Rodon for that 6-year deal. So I don't know. Maybe he feels he's worth 30. Maybe he feels he needs 7 or 8 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
30 shouldn't be a problem. So if he wanted 6 and 180, that I could live with. But you know what? For me, just getting beyond that, even when you sign that, you expect him to finally get injured. I mean, he's been very durable as pitchers go. The fact he's not that high leverage arm. He doesn't throw in the way like you expect an injury, right?
Yeah.
Some of those flamethrowers, you just expect them to have Tommy John at some point. But he's a lot smoother, so you hope that he'll be all right. But he's not invincible.
No. Yeah, and that's the issue too. I mean, I don't want to say we were. We ignored that because I don't think we did. I think they thought we had such a great lineup. The bullpen, finally, we can say like, okay, we got a decent bullpen now. We don't know exactly what we have because it's only been a handful of games, but the idea is, okay, bullpen's good. Lineup when Bryce gets back. I mean, this is something special. I don't know if we've ever seen something like this before. So we can deal with the Walkers and the Nolas and, Wheelers. I don't know. That is a really good question, Frank. What do you do at the end of the season? I mean, some team is going to sign Nola, and it's kind of like first base too. Like it's hard to find someone solid for first base. I mean, that's why maybe next year we might sign Rhys Hoskins. We might re-sign him because he's just, I don't know. In my opinion, defense, okay, but 30 home runs, that's a lot for us. And I think that's what we're missing. But enough about that. Let's get to today's game, and let's talk about Reds versus Phillies, 4:05. I don't want to say predictions, but what are you looking forward to this matchup? I mean, beautiful day. Let's get it going, Frank. What do you got here?
Well, the Reds are throwing a lefty. I expect the right-handed bats in this lineup to feast all over him. So this lineup does feature, as we were just talking about, Alec Boehm at first base, Edmundo Sosa at third base. I'm eager to see that. Josh Harrison's your left fielder. I'd like to see Jay Hay get some at-bats. He's always been a player I really liked. I wish the Phillies had kept him last time in 2020 because he had a really couple of nice seasons with the Nationals and then the White Sox. So, but this lineup is stacked against the righties. With righties, the only lefties in the lineup today are Schwarber and Stott. So I think look for some right-handed feasting on Lodolo from the Reds, and I want to see more Edmundo Sosa. I want to see him battle out more. Give it to me. And Christian Pache, he's got to do something at some point, right? So he's a defensive whiz, but they're giving him the start in center. I mean, Brandon Marsh can out-hit him against lefties, but if they're going to give this guy a couple opportunities to see what they have, he's got to be against a lefty. So, I mean, it was a low risk acquisition, but they can always go grab Scott Kingery if he fails. But I thought they would try this first, but I don't blame him. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking for today. And can Bailey Falter give them a decent start again? It was a decent enough start last time. I'm looking forward to see what he can do as he really is pitching. He and Strom are pitching to see who's still there when Suarez comes back, right?
Yeah.
If all goes according to plan. So
Yep.
But he stepped up last year when Wheeler was out. So Falter was a nice surprise towards the end of last year. Look to see him make some progress there. But the Reds lineup that they're putting out there just doesn't scare you. So I think this would be a good game for Falter to shut down the Reds and see what I want to see Sosa bat. I need more Sosa.
Yeah, give me some more Sosa. Frank, you are the man. Thank you so much. This is the fastest 30 minutes in your life. Frank, give the people what they want. How can they find you?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Frank Klose. That's Close with a K. And also, please follow my podcast at Powder Blue Pod. It's our Phillies podcast with with Powder Blue theme. Just everybody knows what that means in Phillies land, right? So that's what we went with. And at 97.3 ESPN on Twitter and 97.3ESPN.com. You can stream at any time. And also, if you're down the shore for the summer, tune in at 97.3 FM.
Yes, sir. Frank, it's been an honor and privilege. Thank you so much. Housekeeping. Today at 5:30, you can find Circle of Debate right here on the Bloodline Entertainment Network. And then 9:30, Roto Slappers. Get on with it with Streets and Tim King talking football. Again, Frank, thank you so much for hopping on. Have a great day. Peace.
Thanks. Peace, Nick.